Part 1. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the Aurora. He was drinking coffee and looking at reports on his tablet. The ship was quiet except for the soft hum of the engines. They were far beyond Pluto now, testing the new hyperspace drive that Earth scientists had built just last year. Jake was a simple man who loved his job. He had short brown hair and always wore his blue uniform with coffee stains on it. He did not care much about being perfect. He just wanted to explore space and see what was out there. Dr. Lisa Grant walked onto the bridge carrying her own coffee mug. She was the science officer and the smartest person Jake knew. She had red hair tied in a ponytail and always asked too many questions about everything. "Morning, Captain," she said with a smile. "Morning, Lisa. Found anything interesting yet?" Jake asked. "Just rocks and ice. The usual stuff out here," she replied, sitting at her station. Lieutenant Kevin Hayes was at the navigation controls. He was young, maybe 25, with blonde hair and nervous energy. This was his first deep space mission, and he wanted to prove himself. "Captain, ready to make the next hyperspace jump," Kevin said, checking his screens. "All right. Take us to the next survey point," Jake said. Finishing his coffee, Kevin typed in the coordinates. His fingers moved fast across the controls. He double-checked the numbers, or at least he thought he did. When he pressed the button to engage the hyperspace drive, something felt wrong. The ship lurched forward harder than usual. The Aurora shot through space faster than light. Colors streamed past the windows in ways that hurt to look at. The jump should have lasted 10 seconds. It lasted 30. When the ship dropped back into normal space, everyone knew something was different. "Where are we?" Jake asked, sitting up straight in his chair. Lisa's screens were going crazy. Numbers and readings flooded her monitors. Her eyes went wide. "Captain, I'm reading thousands of artificial structures. Ships. Stations. This isn't empty space." Jake looked at the main view screen. What he saw made him forget about his coffee entirely. Space was full of things. Not asteroids or planets, but buildings. Giant cylindrical stations floated in organized patterns. Ships of every shape and size moved between them in perfect lines. Some ships were small like the Aurora. Others were as big as cities. The structures glowed with lights. Some were silver and sleek. Others looked like they were made of crystal or living metal. It was beautiful and completely impossible. "This is not the Kuiper Belt," Jake said quietly. "No, sir, it's not," Kevin said, his voice shaking. "I think I made a mistake with the coordinates." "You think?" Lisa said, but she was too amazed to be angry. Ensign Tyler Brooks, the communications officer, suddenly jumped in his seat.
"Captain, we're being hailed."
"Multiple frequencies. The computer is trying to translate." "Put it through," Jake said. A voice came through the speakers. It sounded mechanical at first, then smoothed out as the computer finished translating. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered Galactic Council space without authorization. State your origin and purpose immediately." The bridge went silent. Everyone looked at Jake. Jake scratched his head. "Well, that's interesting." He pressed the button to reply. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Aurora. We're from a planet called Earth. Honestly, we got lost. Didn't know anyone else was out here." There was a pause. Jake could hear the alien on the other end talking to someone else in a language the computer could not translate yet. The voice came back. "Earth? That designation is not in our database. You claim ignorance of the Galactic Council?" "Yeah, first time hearing about it," Jake said casually. "We just invented this hyperspace thing last year. Still working out the bugs." Another pause, much longer this time. Lisa leaned over to Jake. "Captain, should we be worried?" "Probably," Jake said. "But let's see what happens." The alien voice returned. It sounded confused now. "Please hold your position. Do not move your vessel. A diplomatic envoy will arrive shortly to assess this situation." "Sure, we'll wait," Jake said. "We're not going anywhere until Kevin figures out where we are anyway." The communication ended. Tyler turned around in his chair. "Sir, what do we do?" Jake shrugged. "We wait. Lisa, run full scans on everything out there. I want to know what we're looking at. Kevin, start working on coordinates to get us home, and somebody get me more coffee." The crew started working. Lisa's fingers flew across her controls as she gathered data. The sensors reached out and touched the alien structures. The readings were incredible. "Captain, these stations are huge. Some of them are the size of small moons. And the materials they're made from, I've never seen anything like it. Some of it shouldn't even be possible according to our physics." "Our physics might need an update," Jake said. Kevin was sweating as he worked on the navigation. "Sir, I found the problem. I entered .25 instead of .025 in the jump calculation. We jumped 100 times farther than we should have." "Well, that's one way to make history," Jake said. He was not angry. What was done was done. An hour passed. The crew watched the alien ships moving around them. None came too close, but they could feel eyes watching them. Then Lisa's screen blinked. "Captain, large vessel approaching. It's different from the others. More decorative. Lots of gold and silver." On the view screen, a ship appeared that looked like a palace that could fly. It was covered in elegant designs and glowing symbols. It stopped a short distance from the Aurora. "They're hailing us again," Tyler said. "Put them through." "Captain Morrison," the voice said. It was different now, more formal and clear. "I am Ambassador Veltharos of the Kryn Dominion, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Council. Permission to come aboard your vessel?" Jake looked at Lisa. She nodded. He looked at Kevin, who looked terrified but also excited. "Sure, come on over," Jake said. "Welcome to the Aurora. We will transport directly to your bridge," Veltharos said. "Transport? Like beaming?" "That's act—" Jake did not finish his sentence. 3 columns of light appeared on the bridge. Tyler dropped his tablet. The light faded, and 3 aliens stood before them. The first was tall, maybe 7 feet, with skin that looked like blue crystal. It had 4 eyes arranged around its head, and wore robes that seemed to move on their own. This was Veltharos. The second alien floated in the air. It looked like a jellyfish made of light, with tentacles that glowed soft purple. The third was reptilian, with golden scales and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Jake stood up and extended his hand. "Welcome aboard. Sorry about the mess. We weren't expecting company." Veltharos looked at Jake's hand with all 4 eyes. It did not shake it. Instead, it bowed slightly. "Captain Morrison," Veltharos said, its voice deep and serious. "We have much to discuss." Jake put his hand down. "I figured. Want some coffee first?" The 3 aliens looked at each other. The floating jellyfish pulsed with confused colors. "What is coffee?" Veltharos asked. And that was how humanity met the galaxy, with a handshake attempt and an offer of coffee. Veltharos refused the coffee. The ambassador stood in the center of the Aurora's bridge with perfect posture. The 2 other aliens stood behind him, watching everything with careful eyes. Jake noticed the floating jellyfish creature kept changing colors. He wondered if that meant something. Lisa brought up a chair for the ambassador, but Veltharos did not sit. Instead, the alien began speaking in a formal tone that made Jake think of lawyers and politicians back on Earth. "Captain Morrison, your presence here represents a severe violation of galactic law," Veltharos began. "For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council has maintained order across 200 star systems. All spacefaring species must register with the Council, submit to evaluation, and follow established protocols." Jake leaned against his command chair. "Okay, but we didn't know any of that." "Ignorance is not an acceptable defense under Council law," the reptilian alien said, speaking for the first time. Its voice hissed slightly. "I'm sorry. I didn't catch your name," Jake said. "I am Enforcer Krell of the Saurian Compact," the reptilian answered. "Nice to meet you." "Krell," Jake said with a friendly smile. Krell did not smile back. Jake was not sure if Krell could smile. Veltharos continued. "Your species has developed faster than light travel without guidance or authorization. This is unprecedented. Most species are contacted by the Council during their early development and guided toward safe integration." "Well, nobody contacted us," Lisa said from her station. "We've been broadcasting radio signals for over 100 years. The floating jellyfish pulsed and spoke in a soft musical voice. "Your world is in a remote sector. The Council does not monitor all primitive worlds. You developed FTL travel much faster than predicted models suggested possible." "Primitive?" Tyler muttered, but Jake waved at him to be quiet. "So what happens now?" Jake asked. "You said we violated laws. What's the penalty?" Veltharos folded his hands together. All 4 of his eyes focused on Jake. "Your species must immediately cease all faster than light travel. Your ship will be escorted back to Earth. The Council will establish an observation post in your system. Humanity will enter a probationary period of no less than 200 cycles." "How long is that in Earth time?" Kevin asked nervously. "Approximately 260 of your years," Krell said. The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at the aliens. Jake laughed. He could not help it. The laugh started small but grew bigger. Lisa looked at him like he was crazy, but he kept laughing. "I'm sorry," Jake said, wiping his eyes. "I'm sorry, but that's the funniest thing I've heard all week." Veltharos's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. "You find this amusing?" "No, I find it ridiculous," Jake said, his smile fading. "You want humanity to stop exploring space for 260 years because we didn't follow rules we never heard of?" "It is necessary for maintaining order," Veltharos said firmly. "Yeah, that's not going to happen," Jake said flatly. The 3 aliens looked at each other. The jellyfish turned a dark red color. "You do not understand, Captain," Veltharos said slowly. "This is not a negotiation. This is council law. All species must comply." Jake stood up straight. His casual attitude was gone now. "Let me be clear, Ambassador. Earth didn't sign up for your council. We didn't agree to your laws. We built our hyperspace drive with our own hands and our own science, and we're going to keep using it. This is highly irregular," the jellyfish being said, pulsing rapidly. "You have no choice in this matter," Krell said, his hand moving to something on his belt that looked like a weapon. "Actually, we do," Lisa said, standing up. "You have no authority over Earth or humans. You can't enforce laws on people who never agreed to them." Veltharos's crystal skin seemed to darken. "The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. Species do not simply refuse our authority. There are consequences for defiance." "Are you threatening us?" Jake asked calmly. "I am informing you of reality," Veltharos replied. Jake walked closer to the ambassador. They were nearly the same height, though Veltharos was thinner. "Here's our reality. We're explorers. We're scientists. We're not looking for trouble, and we're not trying to disrupt your order. But we're not going to stop exploring just because you said so. You cannot simply ignore the council," Veltharos insisted. "Watch us," Jake said. The tension on the bridge was thick. Tyler looked ready to run. Kevin's hand was shaking over the controls. Lisa stood firm beside Jake, her arms crossed. Krell took a step forward. "Perhaps a demonstration of council power would help you understand." "Stand down, Enforcer," Veltharos said quickly. "We are here for diplomacy." "Diplomacy requires both sides to negotiate," Krell hissed. "These humans refuse to even listen." "We're listening," Jake said. "We just don't agree." The floating jellyfish spoke again, its voice trying to be calming. "Perhaps we have started incorrectly. I am Mediator Prill of the Luminous Collective. May I suggest a compromise? Your ship returns to Earth. The Council sends ambassadors to your world leaders. We discuss these matters properly with your government." Jake considered this. "That's more reasonable. But here's the thing. Even if you talk to Earth's governments, I can tell you right now what they'll say. They'll say the same thing I'm saying. Humanity doesn't respond well to being told what we can't do, especially by strangers. All species initially resist council authority," Veltharos said. "They come to understand its necessity." "Maybe," Lisa said. "Or maybe your system needs updating." Veltharos turned all 4 eyes to her. "Explain." Lisa walked over to her console and pulled up a display. "You said the council has maintained order for 10,000 years. That's impressive. But order isn't the same thing as progress. How many new species have joined in the last 1,000 years? 47, Prill answered. And how many were allowed to develop FTL on their own before joining? Lisa asked. Prill's colors shifted to a pale blue. None. All were contacted during their industrial age and guided through development. So you've been doing the same thing for 1,000 years, Lisa said. Everyone follows the same path. Everyone obeys the same rules. No one tries anything new. It ensures stability, Veltharos said. It ensures stagnation, Lisa countered. Humanity might not have your experience or your technology, but we have something you might have forgotten. We have the willingness to try new things and take risks. Risks lead to chaos, Krell said. Risks lead to growth, Jake added. Veltharos was quiet for a long moment. His crystal skin shifted through different shades of blue. Finally, he spoke. I will report this conversation to the High Council. They will decide how to proceed. You do that, Jake said. Meanwhile, we're going to finish our surveys out here, then head home. I must warn you, Veltharos said. If you do not comply with Council directives, there will be consequences. We'll deal with those when they come, Jake replied. You are either very brave or very foolish, Captain Morrison, Veltharos said. Maybe both, Jake admitted with a slight smile. The three aliens moved together. Columns of light surrounded them and they disappeared, transported back to their ship. As soon as they were gone, Tyler let out a breath he had been holding. "Sir, did we just tell the entire galaxy to get lost?" "Pretty much," Jake said, sitting back in his chair. "Are we in trouble?" Kevin asked. Lisa returned to her station. "Probably. But Jake's right. We can't let aliens tell us what to do just because they've been around longer." Jake picked up his cold coffee and took a sip anyway. "Lisa, send a message to Earth. Tell them what happened. They need to know we're not alone out here." "Already on it," Lisa said. "Kevin, plot a course to that asteroid field we were supposed to survey. We came out here to do a job. Let's finish it." "Yes, sir," Kevin said, his hand steadier now. The Aurora's engines hummed to life. The ship moved away from the alien stations and into open space. Behind them, the ambassador's vessel did not follow. On the bridge, Jake looked at his crew. They had just made first contact with an alien civilization. They had been threatened, warned, and told to stop doing what humans do best, exploring, and they had politely refused. Jake smiled. This was going to be an interesting trip home. The news traveled fast across the galaxy. Within 3 days, every council member world knew about the human ship that had wandered into their space and simply refused to follow the rules. The Grand Assembly on Zentara Prime was in chaos. Delegates argued with each other in a dozen different languages. Some wanted to send warships, others wanted to study these strange humans. A few even found the whole situation amusing. On Earth, the message from the Aurora caused a different kind of chaos. The United Nations held an emergency meeting. Every major government wanted to know what had happened. The media went crazy with headlines about aliens and galactic empires, but Jake Morrison was not thinking about any of that. He was too busy exploring. The Aurora spent 2 weeks surveying the asteroid field. Lisa collected samples that would keep scientists busy for years. Kevin mapped hyperspace routes that were safer and faster than anything they had before. Tyler recorded everything they saw. Then something unexpected happened. Another Earthship showed up. The Pacific Dream was a cargo hauler, big and bulky, designed to carry supplies between Earth and the Mars colonies. Captain Danny Foster was not supposed to be this far out in space. But when he heard about the Aurora's discovery, he had to see for himself. "Aurora, this is the Pacific Dream." Danny's voice came over the comms.
"Mind if we join the party?"
Jake grinned when he heard the transmission. He knew Danny from the academy. They had been friends for years. "Danny, you crazy fool. What are you doing out here?" "Same thing as you. Exploring. Plus, I figured if there's aliens out here, maybe they want to trade. I've got a cargo hold full of Earth goods." Lisa shook her head but smiled. Only Danny would see first contact as a business opportunity. The Pacific Dream docked with the Aurora. Danny came aboard with his first officer, a woman named Sophie Martinez. She was sharp and practical, the perfect balance to Danny's wild ideas. In the mess hall over coffee, Danny explained his plan. "Look, these aliens have been flying around space for thousands of years. They've got to have technology, materials, and knowledge we don't have. And we've got stuff they've never seen. Coffee, chocolate, music, art, that's worth something. The council told us to stop using hyperspace and go home," Jake reminded him. "Did you listen?" Danny asked. "No. Then why should I?" Danny laughed. "Besides, they can't stop all of us. If more human ships come out here, what are they going to do?" Sophie pulled up a tablet. "We've been monitoring alien communications. The council is divided. Some want to use force. Others want to negotiate. But they're slow. Everything has to go through committees and debates. By the time they decide what to do, we'll already be established out here." "You've really thought this through," Lisa said, impressed. "I've been thinking about nothing else since I heard about your discovery," Sophie replied. 3 days later, another Earthship arrived. The Horizon was a science vessel commanded by Helen Price, a respected researcher who specialized in alien environments. She brought a team of scientists who wanted to study the council species and their technology. Helen was older than the others, in her 50s, with gray hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She sat with Jake and Danny in the Aurora's conference room. "We need to be smart about this," Helen said. "The council isn't going to accept us easily. But if we prove we're valuable, if we show them we can contribute something positive, they might change their minds. Or they might try to force us out," Danny said. "Let them try," Helen replied. Earth is building more hyperspace ships every month. Soon there will be dozens of us out here. They can't stop progress. Jake looked at the 3 ships docked together outside his window. 3 human vessels in council space doing whatever they wanted. It felt right, but the council was not going to ignore them forever. The warning came a week later. A fleet of council warships appeared, 12 vessels bristling with weapons. They formed a blockade around the Pacific Dream. The commander of the fleet was Zixtal, a warrior from the Drakon species. The Drakon looked like a cross between a lion and a dragon, with dark red scales and fierce golden eyes. They were the Council's primary military force, and they took their duty seriously. Human vessel Pacific Dream. Zixtal's voice boomed over the comms. You are hereby ordered to power down your engines and submit to Council authority. You have 1 hour to comply. Danny was in his ship's cockpit when the message came. Sophie stood beside him looking worried. Should we run? Sophie asked. Danny thought for a moment, then smiled. No, let's try something different. He opened a communication channel. Council Commander Zixtal, this is Captain Danny Foster of the Pacific Dream. We're not looking for trouble. We're here to trade. We've got Earth coffee, chocolate, and some really nice titanium if anyone's interested. The blockade is kind of blocking my customers, though. There was a long silence. Then Zixtal responded, his voice confused. Trade? You are violating council space and you wish to conduct commerce? Why not both? Danny said cheerfully. Look, you guys seem tense. Have you ever tried coffee? It's amazing. It wakes you up, tastes great, and we've got tons of it. Come aboard, have a cup, and we can talk about this like civilized beings. Another silence. Sophie stared at Danny like he had lost his mind. You invite me aboard your vessel? Zixtal asked. Sure. Bring a couple of guards if it makes you feel better. But seriously, try the coffee. On his flagship, Zixtal consulted with his officers. This was not normal. When the council blockaded a ship, that ship either surrendered or fought. They did not invite you over for drinks. But Zixtal was curious. These humans were strange. He wanted to understand them. I will come aboard, Zixtal announced. But my fleet remains on alert. Fair enough, Danny said. 20 minutes later, Zixtal materialized on the Pacific Dream with 2 guards. The Drakon commander was huge, nearly 8 feet tall, with armor that looked like it could stop a missile. His guards were almost as big. Danny met them in the cargo bay with a smile and 3 cups of hot coffee. Welcome to the Pacific Dream, Danny said. I'm Captain Foster. This is Sophie Martinez, my first officer, and this is coffee. Zixtal took the cup carefully in his clawed hand. He sniffed it, his nostrils flaring. What is this substance? Heaven in a cup, Danny said. Try it. The Drakon commander took a small sip. His eyes widened. He took another sip, bigger this time. Then he drank half the cup. This is excellent, Zixtal said, surprised. It has a stimulating effect. That's the caffeine, Sophie explained. It's a natural compound from earth plants. We drink it every day. Zixtal finished his cup. May I have more? Danny grinned. As much as you want. In fact, I've got 5 tons of coffee beans in my cargo hold. High-quality stuff. I was hoping to find buyers out here. The 3 of them sat in the mess hall. Zixtal drank 4 more cups of coffee while Danny explained Earth's economy, culture, and why humans loved exploring. Your species is unusual, Zixtal said. You have no fear of authority. We respect authority when it's earned, Danny said. But we don't bow to it just because it's old. The council will not accept this attitude, Zixtal warned. Then the council has a problem, Sophie said. Because more humans are coming. We're not going to stop. Zixtal was quiet, drinking his coffee. Finally he spoke. I came here to enforce a blockade. But you have shown me hospitality. You have shared something valuable with me. Among my people, this creates obligation. You don't owe us anything, Danny said. The coffee was free. Nothing is free, Zixtal said. Everything has value. I will speak with my fleet. We will not interfere with your trading. Really? Sophie asked, shocked. Really, Zixtal confirmed. But I cannot speak for the entire council. Others will come. They may not be as understanding. We'll deal with that when it happens, Danny said. Zixtal stood, his armor clinking. Before I go, I wish to purchase 2 tons of your coffee beans. What is your price? Danny and Sophie looked at each other in amazement. How about this, Danny said. You give us information about safe trade routes and which council species might be interested in Earth goods. In return, you get the coffee. Zixtal nodded. This is acceptable. The first trade agreement between humanity and a council species was made over coffee in a cargo ship's mess hall. No diplomats, no formal ceremonies, just two captains making a deal. When Zixtal returned to his flagship, his officers were confused to see their commander carrying large bags of strange brown beans. "Commander, what are your orders?" his second officer asked. Zixtal looked at the human ships. They were small, primitive by council standards. But there was something about these humans. They were bold, friendly, and completely unafraid. "We maintain position, but do not interfere," Zixtal ordered. "And someone find me hot water. I need to brew more of this coffee." Back on the Aurora, Jake received a message from Danny explaining what happened. He could not stop laughing. He traded military intelligence for coffee, Jake told Lisa. "Only Danny," Lisa said, shaking her head with a smile. More human ships would come. The council would continue to debate. But in that moment, everything changed. Humanity was not going away, and the galaxy would have to get used to it. The Grand Assembly Chamber on Zentara Prime was the most impressive building in council space. It was made of living crystal that changed colors with the light. Inside, representatives from 200 species gathered to govern the galaxy. Today, they were all talking about one thing: humans. High Counselor Narveth floated at the center of the chamber. Narveth was ancient, a being of pure energy contained in a glowing sphere. It had led the council for 3,000 years. It had seen species rise and fall, but it had never seen anything like humanity. "Order," Narveth's voice echoed through the chamber. "We must reach a decision. The human presence in council space grows daily. 7 of their ships are now operating in our territory. They trade with our citizens. They explore unclaimed systems. They ignore every directive we send." Ambassador Veltharo stood to speak. His blue crystal skin looked darker than before, a sign of stress among his people. "The humans refuse all negotiation. I spoke with their captain personally. They will not accept council authority. They claim independence based on the fact that they never agreed to our laws." "Preposterous," shouted a delegate from the insectoid Chitrix species. "No species can simply opt out of galactic civilization." "Yet they are doing exactly that," replied a delegate from the peaceful Minari. "Perhaps we should consider why they reject us so completely." The chamber erupted into argument. Some delegates wanted military action. Others suggested economic sanctions. A few even wanted to accept the humans as they were. In the back of the chamber, a young Kryn observer named Tella watched everything. Tella was Veltharos's assistant, and this was her first major crisis. She had read everything about humans she could find. Their history, their culture, their seemingly endless capacity for both violence and kindness. She found them fascinating. After hours of debate, Narveth made a decision. "We will invite a human representative to Zentara Prime. They will explain themselves before this assembly. Perhaps direct communication will succeed where messages have failed." "And if they refuse to come?" Enforcer Krell asked. "Then we will know they are truly hostile," Narveth replied. The message was sent to all human ships in council space. Captain Jake Morrison of the Aurora was invited to address the Grand Assembly. He had 1 week to accept. Jake was in his quarters when the message arrived. He had been writing a report about everything they had discovered. When he read the invitation, he laughed so hard he nearly fell out of his chair. "They want me to speak to their government," Jake told Lisa over the ship's internal comms. "Are you going?" Lisa asked. "Might as well." "You want to come? You wanted to see alien architecture?" "Absolutely," Lisa said immediately. 3 days later, the Aurora arrived at Zentara Prime. The planet was beautiful, covered in silver cities and green forests. 3 moons orbited above, each one covered in buildings and lights. Jake and Lisa took a shuttle down to the planet's surface. Tyler stayed on the Aurora to monitor communications. Kevin was too nervous to go and stayed behind as well. The shuttle landed at the Grand Assembly Plaza. Thousands of aliens had gathered to see the humans. They came in every shape and size. Some walked on legs, others floated. A few seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Jake and Lisa walked down the shuttle ramp. Jake wore his regular uniform, coffee stains and all. Lisa had tied her red hair back and wore her nicest science officer jacket. The crowd murmured and pointed. Many had never seen a human before. Tella met them at the bottom of the ramp. She bowed in the Kryn fashion. "Captain Morris and Dr. Grant, welcome to Zentara Prime. I am Tella, I will be your guide. Nice to meet you, Tella, Jake said with a smile. Great planet you've got here. Tella's crystal skin shifted to a light purple, a sign of pleasure. Thank you. Please follow me. The assembly is waiting. They walked through the plaza toward the Grand Assembly building. Lisa kept looking around, amazed by everything. The architecture was unlike anything on Earth. Buildings seemed to grow organically from the ground. Lights floated in the air without visible power sources. How old is this city? Lisa asked. The capital has stood for 8,000 years, Tella answered. Though it has been rebuilt and expanded many times. 8,000 years, Lisa whispered. Humans have only had cities for about 6,000. Inside the assembly building, the scale was overwhelming. The chamber was massive, large enough to hold 10,000 beings. Every seat was filled. The noise was incredible as hundreds of species talked at once. When Jake and Lisa entered, the chamber went silent. All eyes turned to the two humans walking across the floor. Jake felt the weight of those stares. Lisa walked close beside him, her eyes wide. They reached the center of the chamber where a platform waited for them. High Counselor Narveth's glowing sphere descended from above. Captain Morrison, Dr. Grant, you stand before the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Council. We have brought you here to understand why your species refuses to accept our authority. Jake looked up at the glowing sphere, then around at the thousands of aliens watching him. He took a deep breath. With respect, Counselor, I think you're asking the wrong question, Jake said. The chamber filled with surprised murmurs. Explain, Narveth said. You want to know why we refuse your authority, Jake continued. But the real question is, why do you think you have authority over us? We never asked to join your council. We never signed any agreement. We just showed up and found out you existed. The council governs all civilized space, Veltheros said from his seat. This has been true for 10,000 years. For you, Lisa added. But not for us. We're not saying your council is bad. We're just saying it's yours, not ours. A delegate stood up. A floating jellyfish similar to Mediator Prill. But without the council's guidance, how will your species avoid the mistakes that destroyed so many others? Maybe we'll make those mistakes anyway, Jake admitted. Or maybe we'll find new solutions you never thought of. Either way, we need the freedom to try. Freedom leads to chaos, Krell said, his voice echoing through the chamber. Maybe, Jake agreed. But control leads to stagnation. How many of you have done something truly new in the last 100 years? How many risks have you taken? How many frontiers have you explored? The chamber was silent. Lisa stepped forward. We've been studying your council since we arrived. You've built something amazing. 200 species living in peace following agreed rules. That's incredible. But you did it by making everyone follow the same path. Everyone develops the same way. Everyone uses the same technology. Everyone thinks inside the same boundaries. Boundaries exist for good reasons, Narveth said. Sometimes, Lisa agreed. But sometimes boundaries are just habits that became traditions that became laws. We're not trying to destroy what you built. We're just trying to offer something different. Jake pulled out a tablet and projected an image into the air. It showed Earth blue and green and beautiful. This is our world. We're young compared to you. We've only been in space for about 100 years. We've made mistakes, lots of them. We fought wars, polluted our planet, almost destroyed ourselves a few times. This proves you need guidance, a delegate called out. Maybe, Jake said, but we survived without it. We learned from our mistakes, we grew, and now we're here, talking to you as equals, not as children asking for permission. You are not our equals, Krell said coldly. You have primitive technology, limited resources, and no understanding of galactic politics. You're right, Jake admitted, surprising everyone. We're not your equals in technology or experience. But we're equals in one thing that matters. We're conscious beings with the right to choose our own path. Lisa brought up another image, this one showing human history, pictures of Earth's greatest achievements. Art, music, science, exploration. This is what humans do when we're free to try new things. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes we succeed beyond our wildest dreams. But we always keep moving forward. What exactly do you want? Narveth asked. Jake looked at Lisa. They had talked about this moment for days. They had prepared an answer. We want to propose something new, Jake said. Earth recognizes the Galactic Council as the governing body for its member species. We respect your laws and your territory, but Earth space is Earth space. Human ships can go wherever they want in unclaimed territory. We'll trade with you. We'll share knowledge. We'll work together on problems. But we won't join your council and we won't follow your rules. The chamber exploded into noise. Delegates shouted in 100 languages. Some were angry. Some were intrigued. Some were laughing at the sheer audacity of the proposal. Belthero stood up. This is unacceptable. It would set a precedent that would destroy everything we've built. Or improve it, said a quiet voice. Everyone turned. The speaker was a Minari elder, one of the oldest members of the council. The Minari were known for their wisdom and patience. Perhaps these humans have a point, the elder continued. We have maintained order, yes. But have we maintained growth? When was the last time a new idea changed how we think? When did we last face a real challenge? Challenges lead to conflict, another delegate argued. Challenges lead to evolution, the Minari elder replied. These humans offer us something we have not had in millennia. They offer us something unpredictable. The council debated for 3 weeks. During that time, humanity did not wait for permission. More ships arrived in council space almost every day. The colony ship New Horizon, commanded by Captain Greg Palmer, found the moon that Jake had discovered during his first surveys. The moon had water, breathable atmosphere, and rich soil. Greg decided to establish a settlement there. We'll call it New Boston, Greg announced to his crew of 500 colonists. Who wants to be the first to step on alien soil? Everyone raised their hands. Within 2 weeks, prefabricated buildings covered a valley near the moon's equator. Farms were planted. Solar panels went up. Children played in reduced gravity, laughing as they jumped higher than they ever could on Earth. The council sent messages demanding the colony be abandoned. Greg replied with an invitation to visit and see how well humans and aliens could coexist. He even offered to name a street after the council if they wanted. The messages stopped coming after that. Trade flourished between humans and various alien species. The Kryn loved human music. Someone had uploaded Earth's entire music library to the Galactic network. And within days, human songs were playing across a dozen worlds. Rock music became especially popular with younger aliens who had never heard anything like it. The Drakon, thanks to Commander Zixtal, became obsessed with Earth martial arts movies. Zixtal had traded for a collection of action films, and now Drakon warriors everywhere were trying to copy the moves they saw. It looked ridiculous when 8-foot-tall dragon lions attempted karate kicks, but they loved it. A small species called the Pixith discovered human coffee and chocolate. Their entire economy shifted to trade with humans. They offered their bioluminescent art in exchange. Soon, human ships had glowing Pixith paintings decorating their walls. On the Aurora, Jake received daily reports about new human activities in council space. Each report made him smile. Humanity was doing what humanity did best. They were exploring, trading, making friends, and occasionally causing chaos. Captain, incoming message from Zentara Prime, Tyler announced one morning. It's from High Counselor Narveth. They've reached a decision. Jake put down his coffee. Well, here we go. Put it through. Narveth's glowing sphere appeared on the view screen. Captain Morrison, the Grand Assembly has voted on your proposal. The debate was intense. Many delegates strongly opposed your request. However, others saw merit in your arguments. Jake held his breath. The council has decided to create a new category of relationship. You will be designated as independent associates. You are not members of the council, but you are recognized as a sovereign entity with rights in unclaimed space. You may trade with council species, explore neutral territories, and maintain your independence. In return, you must respect council law within member territories and agree to participate in diplomatic discussions when conflicts arise. Jake let out his breath. Lisa grabbed his shoulder, grinning. We accept, Jake said. Thank you, Counselor. You won't regret this. I hope not, Narveth replied. Be aware, Captain Morrison. This decision was not unanimous. Some council members believe we have made a terrible mistake. You will face challenges. Some species will welcome you. Others will not. We can handle that, Jake said confidently. One more thing, Narveth added. 17 other species have applied for independent associate status since your proposal was accepted. You have started something that cannot be stopped. The screen went dark. Tyler jumped from his seat, cheering. Kevin laughed and shook his head in disbelief. Lisa hugged Jake so hard he could barely breathe. We did it, Lisa said. We actually did it. We did, Jake agreed. Now the real work begins. The news spread across Council space and back to Earth within hours. The United Nations established the Extraterrestrial Relations Office to handle human dealings with alien species. They appointed Laura Mitchell, a career diplomat known for her practical approach and sense of humor, to lead it. Laura's first act was to organize cultural exchange programs. Human artists, scientists, musicians, and teachers traveled to alien worlds. In return, alien visitors came to Earth, experiencing human culture firsthand. Her second act was more practical. She opened a coffee shop on Zentara Prime. The cafe was called The Human Bean, and it became the most popular gathering spot in the Council capital within a month. Aliens from every species came to try coffee, tea, hot chocolate, and various Earth pastries. They sat in comfortable chairs, listened to human music, and talked about ideas that would have been forbidden before humanity arrived. Tella visited the cafe almost every day. She had become fascinated with human culture and was learning to speak English without using a translator. She sat with Laura one afternoon drinking something called a caramel latte. Your species has changed everything, Tella said. The Council used to be so rigid. Now species are questioning old rules, trying new approaches, taking risks. Is that good or bad? Laura asked. Tella's crystal skin shifted to a bright, happy yellow. It is wonderful. For the first time in my life, I feel like the future is unpredictable. That might sound strange, but predictability was boring. I think I understand, Laura said with a smile. Back on the New Horizon colony, Greg Palmer watched the settlement grow. 3 months after landing, they had housing for everyone, working farms, and even a small school. Children born on Earth were now playing on an alien moon, growing up knowing that the universe was full of different peoples and endless possibilities. One evening, a ship landed at the colony. It was not a human ship. It was Kryn Ambassador Veltheros stepped out, followed by Tella and 2 other Kryn officials. Greg met them at the landing pad. Ambassador Veltheros, welcome to New Boston. Veltheros looked around at the settlement. His 4 eyes took in everything. The buildings, the farms, the humans, and a few aliens working together. I came to see if humans could truly coexist with Council species. I had doubts. And now? Greg asked. Now I see that perhaps my people have much to learn from yours, Veltheros admitted. You build quickly. You adapt. You welcome strangers. These are qualities we have forgotten. Would you like a tour? Greg offered. Veltheros nodded. I would. And perhaps some of that coffee I keep hearing about. Captain Jake Morrison eventually retired from active command. He had spent 2 years exploring Council space, mapping hyperspace routes and helping establish humanity's presence among the stars. Now at 45, he decided it was time for someone else to take the Aurora into the unknown. He took a position at the newly founded Academy of Space Exploration in Geneva, Switzerland. Young cadets from around the world came to learn how to pilot ships, conduct first contact, and represent humanity in the galaxy. On his first day teaching, a student raised her hand. Her name was Amy Chen, and she was 18 years old with dreams of exploring distant worlds. Professor Morrison, Amy asked, when you first met the Council and they threatened you, weren't you scared of starting a war? Jake thought about the question. He remembered standing on the Aurora's bridge facing Ambassador Veltheros, making the decision that would change everything. A little, Jake admitted. But I realized something important. We weren't doing anything wrong. We were just exploring, just trying to live our lives. And if someone has a problem with you living your life peacefully, that's their problem, not yours. But what if they had attacked? Another student asked. Then we would have defended ourselves, Jake said simply. But we didn't go looking for a fight. We went looking for understanding. Most of the time, if you approach others with respect and honesty, they'll respond the same way. Most of the time, Amy noted. But not always? Not always, Jake agreed. Some species in the Council still don't like us. Some think we're too chaotic, too unpredictable. But even they trade with us now. Even they learn from us. Change is uncomfortable, but it's necessary for growth. He walked to the window and looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, human ships were exploring new systems. Somewhere, humans and aliens were working together, learning from each other, building something new. The important thing to remember, Jake continued, is that humanity didn't change because the Council told us to. We stayed who we are, We kept our values, our curiosity, our independence. And by doing that, we changed them. That's the real lesson. Don't let anyone tell you who you should be. Be yourself, and the right people will respect you for it. The students nodded, understanding. That night, Jake went home to his apartment. He made coffee and sat on his balcony looking at the stars. His tablet showed messages from friends scattered across the galaxy. Danny was trading on a Dracon world. Lisa was studying alien biology on a research station. Helen was teaching at an alien university. A new message popped up. It was from Veltharos. Captain Morrison, I wanted you to know that I have been appointed to a new position. I will be the Council's ambassador to independent species, helping integrate the changes your people have brought. I thought you would find this amusing, considering our first meeting. Perhaps you were right. Perhaps order is less important than progress. I am still learning this lesson, but I am learning. Thank you for teaching me. Veltharos. Jake smiled and typed a reply. Congratulations, Ambassador. Coffee is on me next time you're on Earth. Jake. He sent the message and leaned back in his chair.